In this episode of Spooky News, we're going to be diving into something, well, pretty disturbing, actually. It involves Father Vincent Lampert. He was an exorcist in Indiana for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis for like 2 decades. And, well, someone, or maybe even a bunch of people, are using his name and his image to, like, scam people. Vulnerable people. It's a story that really makes you think about like faith and how people can be exploited, especially now with the internet and everything. So Father Lampert, he was a pretty important figure. I mean, he was the ordained exorcist for the Indianapolis Archdiocese for 20 years, and he just stopped recently, actually, in November of this year. What's really interesting about him is like his perspective. He really believed in evil, like that it was a real thing. But he didn't just jump to conclusions and say everything was demonic. He always wanted to look at things from both sides, like the spiritual side and the psychological side, which I think it shows a lot of wisdom and care. He said that he only thought about 1 in every 5,000 cases he saw was really, truly demonic possession, which kind of makes you think, right? Like, we see all these movies and TV shows about demons and stuff, but maybe it's not as common as we think. And if that's true, then, like, it's even worse when people try to take advantage of others by making them think they have a demon problem when they don't. And that's what's happening here with these scammers using Father Lampert's name. They're all over social media, making fake accounts on Facebook, TikTok, X, Instagram, all those places, which is, like, crazy because Father Lampert doesn't even use social media. He said he only talks to parishioners through email. So if you see someone on social media saying they're Father Vincent Lampert and they're offering like exorcisms or rosaries or holy water, well, that's a huge red flag. They're trying to sell you something and it's definitely not legit. What's really scary is how good they are at making these fake accounts. Like, they're not just using a photo of him, they're actually using AI to make videos that look like him. But it's not his voice, and the things he's saying in the videos are totally made up. Father Lampert even said it himself. He said it was creepy. Like, can you imagine seeing yourself on video, saying things you never said? That's got to be so unsettling. And it gets worse. They're also using AI to, like, dub over his voice in real interviews. So it looks like him and it sounds like him, but the words are coming from these scammers. Because you might see a video and think, oh, this is Father Lampert, I can trust him. But it's all a lie. And they're getting really clever. They're reading church bulletins and stuff so they can mention specific events or details that make them seem more believable. Like, they might say, oh, I remember seeing you at that fundraiser last month. And you might think, wow, this guy really knows me. But it's all just a trick to get you to trust them. And then they hit you with their scam. Like, selling tickets to exorcism conferences that don't even exist, and they're charging like $500 a ticket. It's just like wrong on so many levels. They're messing with people's emotions and their wallets, and it's the people who are already struggling that they're targeting. People who think they might have a demon problem. They're often really scared and desperate for help. And these scammers, they're just taking advantage of that. They're exploiting their faith and their fear. And that's the worst kind of betrayal. Like, there was this person in Germany, they paid thousands of dollars because they thought Father Lampert was coming to do an exorcism for them. Can you imagine how heartbroken they must have been when they realized it was all a fake? And there have been people showing up at Father Lampert's church thinking they had appointments, but they never actually made those appointments. It was all the scammers pretending to be Father Lampert. And some people have even paid like $300 just for a fake online appointment. That's so much money, especially for people who are already going through a hard time. So, it's really important to understand how the Catholic Church sees exorcisms. They believe it's a way of helping people, and they never, ever charge money for it. That's just not how they do things. So if anyone asks you for money for an exorcism, well, that's a scam. The church just wants to help people who are struggling, whether it's with spiritual problems, psychological problems, or even medical problems. So what's Father Lampert doing about all this? Well, he's obviously really upset that people are being tricked like this. He spent years trying to figure out who really needs an exorcism and who doesn't, and now these scammers are making it even harder for people to get the real help they need. He's talked to investigators, but it doesn't sound like there's a big criminal investigation happening right now. It's hard to catch these online scammers, especially when they're in different countries. But Father Lampert has a message for them. He said that they might be able to fool people now, but eventually they're going to have to answer to God. He said they're trying to make money off something that's supposed to be about helping people and guiding them spiritually. And that's just wrong. So if you think you need help, if you think you might have a demon problem, or even if you're just not sure, Father Lampert says the best thing to do is talk to a religious leader. He said there are about 175 exorcists in the U.S., and you can find them by contacting your local diocese or parishes. That's the safest way to get real help from the church. And church leaders are also trying to warn people about these scams. They've even made a Facebook group to help people spot fake accounts and stuff. So, it's scary that this is happening, but it's also good to see people fighting back and trying to protect others. This whole thing just shows how important it is to be careful online, especially when it comes to things like faith and spirituality. Always double check who you're talking to, especially if they're asking for money. And remember, the church never charges for exorcisms. If someone asks you for money, that's a huge red flag. So yeah, stay safe out there. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Have any spooky news of your own to share? Email us at spookyytnews@gmail.com. Remember, stay spooky.